Hey out there, it's another Saturday and it's time for another Sonic Boom vlog. Um, this was a really funny episode. I enjoyed this one so much. But kind of a lot of stuff happened in it. So let's just do a quick basic plot synopsis this time instead of doing like a play-by-play with every joke. We start out with a chase scene. Dr. Robotnik is chasing Sonic in the Egomatic hovercraft, shooting lasers at him, while Sonic's friends are fending off Cubot and Orbot and a bunch of random badniks. So the chase scene goes on for a bit. Lots of exciting jumping through stuff, and birds get thrown at a face, and why would I smile for these? They're pecking my eyes! The chase goes on until things get reversed and Sonic starts to chase Dr. Eggman. And they go into this temple thing, they go into this tunnel, and then the door closes with two beavers shaking hands on it. So Sonic and Eggman keep on running through this corridor, and doors keep on closing behind them, but they're so distracted that they don't really notice that the doors are closing behind them until the point comes where there's like a divergence in the hallway, and they start arguing over whether they should go left or right. In the middle of the arguing, the floor collapses and they fall into a chamber. The impact causes the Egomatic to get damaged, so it can't fly anymore, and Sonic hurts his ankle, so he can't use his spin dash, and he can't jump high enough to get through the hole in the ceiling. That's all well and good, isn't it? Meanwhile, outside the cave, outside the temple, everybody's that's the only way to enter the place, and they can't get in. Cubot and Orbot are excited to finally be free. Cubot wants to buy himself a houseboat. Orbot wants to write his memoirs. And Amy and Knuckles start squabbling over who gets to be the leader. Amy wants to be the leader because, I don't know why. Sticks won't trust anyone who's the leader. Knuckles wants to be the leader, and although he keeps on saying things that would obviously make Amy be the better leader, but he just wants to be the leader despite the fact that he's too dumb to articulate anything. And Tails, he just wants everybody to get along and doesn't care about who's the leader, but nobody listens to Tails because if people listen to the competent people, then these shows wouldn't last 12 minutes. So Sonic and Eggman find themselves in the Buddy Temple. That's the title of the episode. Curse of the Buddy Temple, or Curse of the Buddy Temple, or something. Where basically it's like some kind of Indiana Jones thing where you're stuck in a room with a bunch of death traps, and the only way to break out of the death traps is for the two people trapped in a cave to work together as friends. Like, you go in strangers, you come out best buddies. That's the idea. So in the first chamber they're in, Dr. Eggman has to put like a hedgehog harness on Sonic so he can pull the Egomatic because it can still hover a little bit, but it doesn't have enough power to pull on this stopper that's holding a thing on the floor closed. So with Sonic, they're able to get to fly fast enough to get the thing out. And then when they pull out this big circular plug from the floor, it falls to the hole. Hey! Science fail! Do you know why they make manholes as circles? Because a circular shape is the one shape that won't fall through its own hole. If it was a square or oval, then it would fall through its hole because it could be twisted and go through. But with a circle, it won't fall through its own hole unless it can be deformed and compressed. And since it's made out of stone, it's not going to happen. But whatever, they fall through. The Egomatic crashes onto the ground, and it's truly borked. It's not going to fly anymore. But then they accidentally set off a trigger, which causes the floor to recede, revealing a pool of molten lava. This is funny because skipping forward a couple of minutes, Dr. Eggman looks back to see the last of the thing sinking below the lava, and goes, "You were too beautiful to live." I hope he rebuilds it, because it's like, This is the Egg-O-Matic hovercraft. It's Dr. Eggman's iconic vehicle. I mean, I can't see him in anything else. Even in Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, he had the Egg-O-Matic hovercraft. He just added wheels to it to make it race legal. Okay, so continuing on. Yeah, in the lava pool thing, they had to pull a lever on their side of the room, which makes a platform come out on their friend's side. So you help your friend advance, so you both get to the exit door. Then they go into another room where like the wall, like there's darts that shoot out, and Sonic saves them from the darts. And then the walls start to close in, so they both had to push the button to the exit door. But then Eggman pushes Sonic back into the crushing room and says, "Ha ha! I have finally defeated you! Woo hoo hoo! I win! Hee hee hee!" And then he tries to go ahead like, but that's not the last door. So there's the next door of the temple won't open unless 2 levers are pulled, but you can't pull both levers. When he pulls one down and then runs across the room to pull the other, the first one goes up. So it turns out that there's a backup plan. There's actually a button on his side of the door that he can push, and then Sonic can push, and then he can get through. So, woo! So they have to, the whole, "Oh, I'm sorry I betrayed you. You're not mad, right?" Meanwhile, back up on the surface, Cuba and Norbot come back because they aren't programmed to deal with having to make their own decisions. So freedom for them is pain. So they try to work with Sonic's friends to see if they can rescue Dr. Eggman, but but the 4 of them are just plain bickering. Or should I say Amy and Knuckles are bickering, Styx is not having any of their bullcrap, and Tails is trying to convince everybody to get along, but failing miserably. Tails even volunteers to try and be the leader, but they're all like, no. That was a piece of dry skin. Okay, so the thing is, when Sonic and Eggman go into the next room, the ceiling starts to collapse, and when the ceiling collapses, this causes the ground that his friends are on above to collapse, and they all fall in. So everybody ends up falling into the same chamber, and Sonic. And they see Sonic is giving Eggman a boost into a door, into like this hole in the wall, and he was like, "Sonic, are you helping Eggman?" No! But in any course, everybody has to work together because the ceiling is collapsing, and the only way out is this one of those old-fashioned mine carts where you pump a crank up and down on 2 sides. So everybody jumps on the minecart and they pump like their lives depend on it because the tunnel's collapsing behind them. And they all escape, and Sonic and Eggman are like, "Aha, we actually did pretty good as friends, and I'll destroy you next time!" And the episode ends with, it turns out that Dr. Eggman took a selfie of himself when he and Sonic were falling through that hole. He took a picture of himself on his Egg-O-Matic with Sonic falling behind, and Sonic's like, "Ah!" And they'd be like, "Hey!" And it's funny because it's done in the hand-drawn style again. It's like every time people take photographs in this world, you get a hand-drawn image. Like, we see them as CGI, but maybe they see themselves as, like, cartoons. Drawn in a similar art style to the Sonic Boom comic book. That is freaky! Yeah, I liked this episode a lot. It was so funny. And I've been saying the whole time that Dr. Eggman is hardly the enemy of this show. He's more like just a friend with different interests and stuff. Oh, he's weird. So yeah, I mean, these guys are. This is just good. I feel like this is similar to a dungeon adventure I saw in Adventure Time. I remember there was an old episode of Adventure Time where Finn and Jake were trying to, which was kind of the opposite of this. Finn and Jake are always inseparable, but there was one episode where they went into a dungeon and they tried to do the dungeon on their own, and Finn kept finding himself in obstacles where Jake's stretchy powers would have been useful. And Jake found himself in an area of the dungeon where Finn's where Finn's guile and combat knowledge would have been helpful. You know, because, like, will you fight me with the sword or the axe? I picked the sandwich, you know. So this is, like, kind of an opposite of situation where you have two guys that don't normally get along or forced to get along to get through a dungeon where, you know, like, you know what I'm getting at, right? That makes sense, right? I'm making sense. But yeah, I mean, we're kind of seeing Sonic the Hedgehog working as Adventure Time. I guess it's kind of true that this episode could have worked as an Adventure Time episode, but I don't know. I mean, the personalities of the characters still shine through. That's all well and good. So yeah, I mean, we get to see more ancient ruins. I mean, the whole big thing about the video game was that Sonic and his friends were excavating ancient ruins as the game goes along. There's even a bit of time travel in there. But, ancient ruins, they don't really have that much of an impact in the show, in the cartoon. I mean, it's nice to see the cartoon's doing its own thing, but, you know, it's supposed to be based on a video game, right? So it's good to see stuff from the video game come in. So, yeah, this is a good episode. You should really have to watch it. It's because, like I said, I skimmed across a bunch of the humor, especially when they cut back to Sonic's friends, because their arguing and bickering is just priceless in this episode. It's just funny to see how, without Sonic and Eggman to play the roles of the leaders, everything else just completely degenerates. Which is a hilarious reversal of an earlier episode. You know, the one where Sonic couldn't run without making that loud, annoying noise. And then despite the fact that he couldn't participate in the fight, all of his friends did just fine to fend off a badnik attack. This is kind of the opposite of that. Sonic is removed from the equation, and his friends can't even decide how to open a door. I don't know. Should I be upset at the blatant continuity flub, or just take the fact that this is a complete contradiction to an earlier episode as a meta joke? I don't know. However, let us all lament the fall of the Egg-O-Matic hovercraft and hope that Dr. Eggman has well, you know, the first one was sold, but Cubot Norbot gave it to some Weasley guy who stole it in an earlier episode, so this is probably his second one anyway, so he probably has more spares, but, you know, seeing an Egg-O-Matic be completely destroyed like that, I mean, you're used to seeing the big machine break apart, and then the little Egg-O-Matic survives, and it putters away. You're not used to seeing the Egg-O-Matic itself get destroyed. Oh. Anyway, this has been Wake Angel 2001 with the delightful Sonic Boom vlog, and I will see you for next week's episode.